Maniacs, welcome. It's Cedric C. Note Buard of Dream Media LLC, head Media Maniac. And are you ready to learn? So am I. In this volume, I'm super excited because we go over color correction versus color grading and make it not much of a mystery anymore to make you some sweet images. So, without further ado, roll the bumper! Maniacs, welcome to this volume of Media Maniacs. And we will learn color correction versus color grading, the differences, how do you do it correctly. And so, with a disclaimer, this is going to be the first of three volumes, videos that we shoot, that we are going to go over getting the perfect image. Really sweet, simple, basic, so you can understand it without being too technical. All right, so a disclaimer that color correction is different from color grading. Color correction is the technical aspect of it, whereas color grading is more, it's a technical aspect, but it's more of an artistic expression. So with color correction, basically what you're trying to do, and what we're going to go over here in a moment in our video editor, is how to correctly color correct. So basically, color correction is done because you are shooting in different situations, different lighting situations, and so what you want to do is match all of the clips out so that they don't look different from one another and jar your audience. All right, so in color correction, we're trying to achieve a consistent appearance amongst the clips. We're also trying to make an even contrast, and so what I mean by that is making our whites more white, our blacks more black, without crushing anything or blowing anything out of proportion, which we will go over also here in a moment. And we also go over white balance, and that's basically making all of your whites in your images a natural white. And so that's what white balance is. And you do that in your camera before you shoot, hopefully, but that's also something that we do in post-production, and we'll look at that. We will also look at the different scopes, including the waveform, the RGB parade, the histogram, and the vector scope. And we'll go in detail, very basically, about what each one of those is. I may have to go back and do a whole video just on scopes, because scopes is a huge animal. But we'll basically cover those, as well as end with scopes. And we will go into what scopes are, which is basically precise color correction or color grading. If you want to go in and make some precise movements for your images to improve the image, that's where you can do that at. So without further ado, shall we get to the software and the fun stuff? Now, this is stuff that I'm going to be doing in my preferred video editor, which is Vegas. We have Vegas 17, I believe, but the concepts apply to any video editor that you are using, whether it be Premiere, or whether it be Final Cut, or Avid, or DaVinci, Resolve. The concepts are still the same. All right, so shall we get into it? All right, cool. So, first thing we need to do is to import some footage, which I have imported here. If you'll see here, we just shot a new short film. This is my new short film. It's called Crunk. And this is the footage that we'll be working on today. It's an action film about Dallas, a terrorist in Dallas, very action oriented. So if you got time, be sure to check that out. Crunk, for the love of the city of Dallas. And so that's my shameless plug. And so first thing you want to do is import some footage there, which we have imported into our NLE. And so when we are, again, when we're color correcting, we're looking at, making the contrast the best as it can. So, this is footage. This is how the footage looks without anything on it. There's nothing on it. As you can see, it's pretty flat. There's a lot of movement. It's an action film, of course, so there's going to be a lot of movement. But the first thing you want to do, and what's really cool in Sony Vegas, is that they have a color grading tool that you can use if you press Alt-G, believe on versions 15, 16, and 17 and up. Then you bring up the color wheel, as well as other color grading options. I say color grading, and I want to distinguish and make sure that you guys understand that there is a difference between color grading and color correction. And so I don't want to confuse you guys. We are strictly color correcting right now. We're just making these clips look good, all right, so that we can do our artistic flavor and flair later on. All right. Even though this is a color grading tool, it's also used for color correction, and that's what we're going to be using it for. All right, so you see these tools down here. So these are the tools for lift, your gamma, your gain, and your offset. So your lift is basically your lows, your gamma is your mids, your gain is your highs, and your offset is your offset of all three of the tools there. All right, so basically, and again, so I guess we will need to start off with your histograms, and that's what one of the great things about Vegas is that when you open up your color grading palette, then your histograms automatically open. And by the way, if you don't see those, you can open those up if you go to, I believe it is View. And then you'll just need to go to Window, and then let's see here, your video scopes is right there. There's a checkbox there you'll need to check if you don't see that video scopes box. All right, so as we discussed earlier in the prelude of this tutorial, our vector scope, our waveform, and our histogram. We don't, this is a quick tutorial, so like I say, we're going to not get into the scopes as much, but we don't really use the RGB parade as much. These are the ones that I use the most. 95% of the time I probably use RGB parade on probably 10 projects, if that, because these pretty much do the trick. All right, so we're looking here. We want to start with the histogram, and the histogram basically refers to your luminance or your brightness of your image here. So you see how, and it starts here on 0, which is your lows or your darkest dark black. Here, that would be here, that would be here, and it goes up to what your whitest white would be. And your goal basically is to spread this out so it's spread out evenly from 0 to 230. 255. And so this image actually looks pretty good. It's pretty spread out. Some images are not as spread out, and I'm sure when we get to some parts of this clip, it's not as good as in other parts. But no, it's a pretty good. It's pretty spread out. Now, if this clip was not as spread out as it was, like say for instance, it was the white portion was a little bit over in this area here. Part of my color correction job and duty would be to get more blacks in there. So I would need to think about increasing the lift. So let's see what happens when we increase the lift. Okay, increase or decrease the lift. So I'm increasing the lift and it's taking the blacks out. So I want to add more in. We've decreased that, and you see how that actually made that image pop a little bit more. All right, so same thing with the whites. You want to make your whites as close to 255 without crushing it. See, and I'm kind of crushing the blacks. You can do that on the blacks. However, sorry, my camera went out, so I had to redo it. Okay, so however, you do not want to do that on the whites. So if this was not as close here, I'm sure if I bring that up more, it's going to blow it out. But just for this demonstration, I'm going to bring that up and show you what happens when you bring it up and when you bring it down. And it should bring this up and down. We should crush this, and you should see those whites go up. So we're crushing that. You see how it's bringing, and it's actually affecting. And I'm sorry. Let me reset that because we're doing the offset, which affects the entire signal. So to affect this, we need to be going on the gain here. Okay, so the gain is going to crush this, and you'll see the whites when I bring it down, and it without affecting the darks. Okay, so there's that. Bringing those whites up, it's crushing it, blowing it out. You see how that blows it out without affecting my darks. All right, so now we're gonna bring that back, and you double click it in Vegas to reset it, and you just want to reset that. And that was just a demonstration to show you guys of basic contrast color correction. All right, so then after you get the clip looking good there and all even there, what you want to do is look at your vector scope, or basically your vector scope is your color information. It's your hue, your saturation. You want to make sure that's not blown out, right? So looking at this skin tone and these yellows in this video, there's a yellow tone going on there, and her yellow is a little bit yellow. You can fix this by reducing your saturation. I would not suggest adjusting your hue just now, because that is a color grading function. However, sometimes you might need to adjust the hue. If it's too warm, you might want to add more blue to just to offset that. All right, but in this, I don't like this because, and you can see here, let's bring that up so we can see it a little bit better, where this is sitting, and his face also is a little bit too red to me. All right, so if you go here, and what we're looking at for the facial features, if you're looking at the facial color, then you want to look at about 11 o'clock and 5 o'clock on your vector scope. That's called the color line, the skin tone line. And so we're doing pretty good there, but I just think it's a little bit oversaturated. So what we're gonna do, and if you're working in Vegas, then it's very easy. to go to your saturation. You want to. These are the color wheels. We're at the color wheels tab, so we want to go to the input output tab. There's a saturation fader there, and we don't want to bring that down. And let's bring that image up so we can see what we're doing here. And we can bring that down just a little bit, just so it's not so obvious, and so that when we get to the color grading, then we have something to work with. So I'm happy with this image, and I'm happy with the color grading, and we've done basically a white balance by bringing our contrast, our whitest to our whites and our blackest to blacks. Now, I'm kind of crushing my blacks there, and we may bring that down a little bit more, just so we're not crushing it. I'm a contrast guy, and I really like contrast, so well, I'm gonna meet you guys in the middle there, and that's what we're looking at there, is that contrast. So I'll meet you in the middle there. Still kind of crushing. Some people would probably get on my case, and I might get some comments about how much that is, but I'm a contrast guy. I really like the contrast. It really adds pop to the image, and so that's what we're doing there. And so basically that is it in a nutshell on color correction there. Basically, we just wanted to get our image in. We want to get the contrast, the exposure correctly. We want to get our whites as far up to the 255 point as possible, and our blacks as close to the 0 as possible. We want to look at our histogram. We want to make sure that those things are happening, and that is a basic and quick and easy color correction tutorial. I know it was fast and quick, but we will be expanding on each topic in color correction in coming tutorials, and so I hope that you guys have learned something from this and got some value out of this. If you did, hit that subscribe button for me, hit the bell button to be notified of the wonderful fresh content that we have coming up, and we thank you for your support. And Media Maniacs, until next time, keep creating and keep loving that media, baby.